My Lords, my old friend Lord Young has sought throughout committee with great forensic precision and courtesy to get answers to the sort of questions that he has been raising today, and I have sought to get up with rather blundering efforts to get answers to very similar questions. And here we are at report stage and still asking questions that the government has consistently failed to answer throughout. And the reason is, as I've said earlier today, that this is a rushed bill that has not been thought through properly as to its broader consequences. These are not consequences that are to be dealt with in a future bill coming down the road. These are consequences that flow directly from the measures in this bill. And I very much hope that the Minister can actually give some account of them today and explain how this bill, how this nationalisation is going to affect the public finances in what I call, in my blundering way, balance sheet terms. Now, there are other items. We have, since we discussed this bill in committee, had the body blow, the country has had the body blow of the national insurance, the employers' national insurance increase that has been delivered by the Chancellor of the Exchequer. And Amendment 19 in my name is there to probe what the consequences of that are going to be for Great British Railway. Is there going to be a very significant increase in staff costs on the railways as a result of this? And what impact is that likely to have on the revenue expenditure that the railways can undertake? But in Amendment number 18, I ask for a clarity on something which also flows directly from this bill, not something to be dealt with in a future bill, a direct consequence of this bill, which is to do with the harmonisation of staff wages, terms and conditions as they transfer from diverse employers in the private sector to single employer owned by the state. The fact of the matter is that there are drivers, there are other staff employed by the railway companies on terms agreed with trades unions, but not necessarily the same terms as between one company and another. So drivers' pay and terms and conditions will vary somewhat between one company and another. Now, the government has at no point, they have resisted saying what they are going to do about this if they are a single employer. Of course, theoretically, each franchise, as it falls due, will be placed in a separate company from the others. So it is perfectly possible legally for it to have a separate agreement with its staff different from that which another company has, nationalised company has, with its staff, replicating the current arrangements, if it chooses to do so. Is that the government's intention? We would like to know. Or is there an intention that wages, terms and conditions should be harmonised? And if they are to be harmonised, is it the government's intention, does it imagine they're going to be harmonised on the basis of the lowest common denominator, the highest common denominator, or some denominator that might be found in the middle as a sort of average? This is a direct consequence of the bill, but nothing has been said by the noble Lord about it. And finally, as I say, I come back to this question of staff consultation. There has been no staff consultation about the change of employer. The prospect, the idea that the minister might wander around Waterloo Station randomly consulting drivers as he accosts them, which he held out when he spoke earlier today, is an attractive and enticing one, and it's one to be encouraged. There aren't enough ministers going round randomly accosting staff whom they employ in the public sector. But it hardly constitutes what might be called formal consultation in industrial relations terms. I saw the noble Lord, I hope I'm forgiven for saying this, having a quiet chat in a break earlier during a division with his brother, I think his brother, the noble Lord Hendy, with his great industrial relations experience, who knows, perhaps he was pointing out to the noble Lord, the Minister, that normal industrial relations consultation required a little bit more than simply wandering around and chatting to the staff on the station as you meet them, welcome though that is. So, my Lords, I very much hope that by now, with all the warning that the noble Lord has had about these issues in committee, that he will be able to give an account of himself that will satisfy the legitimate questions of the noble Lord, Lord Young, and will be able to explain to us what his employment and industrial relations strategy is as a direct consequence of the nationalisations that will take place under this bill.